and go.
Button's not clicking. Oh.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. Welcome to the first event of 2024. I'm very excited to be getting stuck into Levers hoodies today. I know that we have spoken about this quite a few times, but it always bears repeating because this is such a big opportunity for absolutely every single one of you. So the Levers design 2024 is really a great opportunity, not just for the levers, but the 2024 part as well. So I really want to make sure that everyone realizes we're not just going to talk about levers today, we're going to be talking about the opportunities that are part of this artworking. So I'm going to show you exactly how to create this artwork for levers. There's going to be no weeding involved, and there's going to be options for single color, multicolor finishes. You could even do metallic or shimmer effects on this. So lots and lots of opportunity for everyone to get involved with this idea, and you're going to be able to apply this across every single market you do. So levers 2024, forget the levers and think 2024. What clients have I got that have got events this year? There's lots and lots of sporting occasions which will be happening as well. So think big, think what you could achieve. So the 2024, it could be applied to levers, it could be applied to things like the European Championships football, if you've got groups of people traveling over there to support. You've got the Paris Olympics this year as well. So there's lots and lots of opportunity to use the 2024 template. Levers stuff will obviously kick in sort of June, or it'll kick in now, but the actual gift giving will be done in June. But there's also things like ski trips which are coming up in very quickly now, so you need to be printing that work already. So there's lots and lots of opportunity, activities, weeks, anything where there is an event this year. Try and encourage people to think about the 2024 print and how that might be of benefit to them. So I'm going to show you exactly how to artwork that today, because it's really important that we talk about that. And just to remind you why this is a big opportunity. We talk about this every year, but I just want to stress that there will be at least 1.5 million students leaving a tier of education, and that's just primary and secondary. That doesn't include the younger age groups, which we do levers hoodies for anything from about 4 years old upwards. So it's a massive opportunity. We're talking millions of potential transfers here for you to be printing onto hoodies, t-shirts, you name it. And it's easy work. It's really easy work. So even if you are not someone who prints other people's work a lot, but you're like, actually, I wouldn't mind an extra revenue stream this year, this 2024 stuff is a great way to bring that in, because it's really easy to pick up and get involved without actually being a distraction to your existing work. Every textile printer should be looking at this opportunity now. If you would like a bit more advice on how to get started, perhaps some routes to market for this, myself and Molly did a podcast recently. I can't remember the specific release date of it. Have we released the 20 Levers podcast yet?
I believe so. Yes, I think we have.
Okay.
I'll double check. Bear with me.
So there is a podcast either available or imminently available where we discuss how we would approach it. If we were in your shoes, we went through the steps and the process of how we would approach it from a marketing and sales point of view to get in front of those schools, because this is not contract work. It is something that is kind of in play for everyone, but it's about you putting the right options in front of everyone to seize that opportunity. So that's why it's really important to get some samples done, get in front of people. But we really went in depth for about 45 minutes talking about how we would approach it ourselves. So if you haven't had the chance.
Just to interrupt, sorry, yes, it is live on the Garment Decorators playlist.
Okay, so if you go to our YouTube channel or if you go onto Spotify, you can find the podcast we did recently on levers. So it'll be from December, and it's on the playlist, Garment Decorators podcast, where we talk in depth about the opportunity, how we'd approach it, some marketing ideas, some sales ideas. So go and listen to that and apply the information I'm going to give you today about art working together with it, and you'll be able to make a real success. So thinking from today onwards, anything that happens in this year and it's an event for this year, there's an opportunity for this artwork. And if anyone that's watching that's never done any heat printing before, it's really easy. I'm going to show you how to artwork, then I'm going to show you how to apply This is one of the easiest jobs that you can get. Once you've figured out the art working, which is really easy, then you can get started and you can be going great guns. We have customers that just do 2024 related stuff all year, and they make a very successful business out of it. So it's a really great opportunity, and I just want to make sure you follow all the steps and make it really easy for you. So I'm going to share my screen for you now. So let me just add that on. Okay. So you'll see you are on the custom.styles.co.uk website. So to make it really easy for you, we put together a free piece of artwork, and this is going to be for single color and for full color jobs. So, and you can apply this to every single job with the 2024 options in it. So all you need to do is go to custom.styles.co.uk. On the nav bar, you scroll down to levers. On this page, you will find a form to fill in, and it just gives you a little bit more information, some style ideas. All you need to do is then scroll down. You can see some quick videos that we've done about why. There's some transfer analysis on there, which I'll get into a bit more detail. Here's a quick look at the template that I'm going to be showing you in a moment. So we've got single color and full color, and this can be applied across all of the different transfer types, be it screen printed, direct to film, ultra color, and I'll discuss the merits of those ones as we get into the rest of this live. So just here, really quickly, just fill in some information, and then about 30 seconds to a minute later, you will receive a form, an EPS file. So if you're, depending on what artwork program you're using, be it Adobe or CorelDRAW, you'll be able to open up this file and then plug it into the EasyView Designer to get it checked to make sure it's okay. So what you need to do is you fill out that form, then we will send you a template which looks like this. So pre-filled, you've got all of the main types already. So you've got some single color options, you've got some multicolor options, you've got some options with some gradients in there. So that means that no matter what you're trying to promote or the feedback you've got from the school of some of the ideas that they would like to see with their artwork, we've got options for everything. And because the number 4 is a bit of a trickier letter to get right this year, because of the way the text fills into it, I've given you a few different text options there as well, just to make sure that you've got a design type that will appeal to all sensibilities, depending what school you're going to. If it's a bit more of a traditional school, you've got some traditional numbers, or if you think it's a school where they're a bit more adventurous and they might be a bit more open to some color options, you've got some styles and ideas there to get you started as well. So any type of school, you can present this artwork to them and say, pick an option, pick a color, and I would suggest going to them in with a few different options. So rather than just one, give them 2 or 3, and that way you can be like, which one do you like best? And they're more likely to make a decision when they see a few options. Some of them they won't like, some of them they will, and it'd be really easy for you to get a decision and get the order moving at that point as well. And the principles of how to artwork this can be applied across all different styles. It's really, really easy, and you can always add your own text in and manipulate this however you want to get the best result for you. So the first step, we're just going to use this one in the middle to start off with, so let's make this a bit larger. The first step is to get the data from the school. So you've got the job, you've managed to secure it, you've got a few different jobs potentially. And the great thing about leavers is that on average, we're finding that each class that's leaving is between 100 and 150 as an average. So obviously there'll be some classes when it's say 30, there'll be some when it's like 250, 300, depending on how big the school is. But on average, it works out 100 to 150. So it's, on average, you're going to make a really nice order here. So you can apply this template and you can get create gang sheets across 100 to 150 students. So it's really, that's why I say it's a really good revenue option for this time of year. And this can keep going through to June. So it's really, really consistent, and it's the same time every year. It's like Christmas for transfer apprentices. Leaver stuff happens at the same time every year, so it's always important to be prepared and understand the artwork. So let's say, for instance, a school gives you a spreadsheet, which is most likely how they're going to do it. So let's open up a spreadsheet I've just put some random names into, and then I'm going to show you exactly how to get this artwork done. So this particular video will be up on our YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn forever, so you can always come back and rewatch this. If you have questions as we go, then don't be afraid to just interrupt me. I'm happy to take all questions. I know that there was a question on LinkedIn ahead of the event about using Affinity. So I think that was with Melanie. So if you have some questions about that, I'll try and answer them and try and find a solution as we go. But please feel free to interrupt him as much as possible. So first step, this is what a classic spreadsheet might look like when they give you the data. You've got a first name and you've got a surname. Sometimes you might just get a first name, you might only get a surname rather than a full name, but these principles will apply no matter the preference of the school of how they want that data. But what I want to show you first is what happens if you just grab this data and put it into the text box which you created in the EPS file. So that's why it's really important to follow these steps which we're going to walk through. So if I was to get this data now, and these two data boxes are connected, so when I start over here, I can drag all the way through from one to the other. So that's why we are able to keep a continuous flow of names going through. So now if I paste that data in, you can see it's all over the place. It doesn't look very good, and you could spend 10 minutes or more trying to edit that artwork to get it to look good, which is not a good use of your time. It's eating into your profit. And for those of you that are joining us because they want to find a better solution to weeding, you're going to be thinking, well, you told me that I'm going to have to do no more weeding, but I'm replacing it with something that's equally monotonous and a waste of my time and eating into my profits. Don't worry, this is not how we're going to do. I'm going to take you through the steps of doing it wrong, so then you know how to do it right, and then it'll be really, really quick for you. So let's go back there, and let's go to this data here. So what I want to do is to walk you through the steps that I would use, and then you'll be able to follow them time after time after time. So even if we were just to take that one set of data, so even if you say that actually just want the first names but no surnames, you're still going to get the same problem. So when we go over here, paste that again, you can see everything is off to the side. It's justified wrong because the data is not connected in a way that Illustrator wants to use. So let's go back to our spreadsheet. And the first step is we're going to connect these data together. So if you are just using one or the other, you can skip the step where we connect them, but because some schools will want them as a full name, I'm going to show you the whole process, so that way you can just pick and choose which bits work best for you. So if you want to have these two columns connected, it's very important you follow this formula exactly. So you've got equals, then I want you to select the first cell, then you're going to just follow this very simple formula. Put a space in after this, put a space in here, and then you put the and again, and then the next cell. So that's the formula, and this will work every time to connect these. So now when I hit return, you can see I've connected this together. So it's not just Jaden and Stone, it's Jaden Stone. And all I need to do is pick the bottom right corner of the cell and drag all the way down. Just like that. And then that will follow it for all of them. So all of them are now being connected. So that's one stage. The next stage is, so then if we were to select all that data and then go into Illustrator, we're still going to have the same problems. It looks a bit better, but it's still not great. So it's not perfect, so that's why we keep following this process. So now we're going to follow some other steps. So what we need to do first is I just want you all to copy that column. I want you to paste it here, but I want you to paste the values. This is really important because we want to take away the formula, so that way when we use the data later, we're not going to bring in this formula data. We just want the value, we just want the name. We just want to say Jaden Stone, we don't want any of the other formulas in there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of all of this other data. We don't need it anymore. We can delete that. We only want to use this data here because we're going to be using the fully formed connected first name and surname. So then what we're going to do is we're going to select it all. We're going to right click, we're going to copy it. Then we're going to go into this top row here and we're going to right click and we want to paste special, and what we want to do is we want to transpose. So if you hover over these, you can see you've got different options and transpose is one of them. What that does is it puts them all the way across. So now we have our connected data, but we have a row of it rather than a column of it. We saw previously that the column did not look very good when we pasted it into Illustrator. So that's why we're going to get rid of the column information. So we can delete that now as well. So let me just get rid of that. Now we're just left with this data. So again, I'm going to show you what happens when you copy it all into the Illustrator file, just because this is not quite ready yet. Once you start to do this more than once, this process only takes about 30 seconds. So it's really quick. But I want to just walk you through it in a bit slowly, so that way you can see what's going on and then you can follow it yourselves really nice and easily. So we return to the EPS file. And again, we try and paste it. And that's not bad, to be honest with you. That's pretty close, but we're still going to have to manipulate the data a little bit. And because we want you to be doing lots of these jobs once you get started, we want to make sure it's easy. So there's a couple of extra steps, but it just makes the whole process easy. You could still spend 3, 4, 5 minutes working on this data to get it right. And that's not the best use of your time. And the data, it's better justified, but it's still a little bit bunched up. So it's just a couple more steps to follow. So the first thing to do is we're going to save this file out. We're going to save this as a CSV. So you go save as. I'm just going to save it into the same folder as my levers work, and then we're going to select CSV. So comma delimited. So save that. Then what I'm going to do next, and then I'm going to open up Notepad. I can open that same file in Notepad. So click Open. Let's change this to all files, and it can see the levers data that I've just saved today. Open that up. You're like, okay, well that's great, but now I've got commas and everything, which obviously is not going to look good. So to get these spaced appropriately and better for actually copying and pasting in, what we're going to do is we're going to select, we're going to do a Control and Find. So we're going to find, and then we're going to find all of those commas, and we're going to replace it with a space. So then when we do replace all, now all of the commas have gone, but all of the words are spaced out exactly with a space next to them. So this is better than when we had the Excel spreadsheet, because they were separated by a cell. It wasn't quite as easy for the Illustrator to read it. So by putting it into Notepad via a CSV file, we're going to get a better justification of the text. So now when we return over here, and paste it in, you can see we're starting to get a much better justification of the text, because we've added it in with spaces. So there'll still be a little bit of manipulation. But as you can see, from when I created the file, it didn't take me very long, and now I have a nice, neat way of the data flowing. So, and you can see this in all of the other different types of format. So by following these particular steps, you can have it in any color and any style. But it was just really important to have that spacing in there right, because that's going to save you so much time at a later date. Just a reminder, if you have any questions about this, or if you tried it before, you're struggling, do leave a question, or if you go back and try it after the event today and you have problems, leave a comment on any of our social channels or send us a direct message. Say, I've tried this, but I'm getting stuck a bit here, and we'll always be happy to help. We've done this artworking a few times, and we always find it's really useful for people if they just go through it, follow it a few times, and the more you do it, the quicker and quicker it gets. The steps with how to do the formula and then the notepad, it really only takes 30 seconds to a minute at most, and then you can get it right every single time, and then you can fire away through those jobs. And then it's really, really easy to get your artworking turned into a usable file at that point. So at this point, all you need to do is obviously you'd get rid of the ones you don't want. So let me just delete a couple of these. And so let's say we're just going to keep that one in the middle for now. And here you've got a few options. So that I've set this up as an A3 sheet for you. Anyone that's watched before knows that this is the best way to get the best price on your transfer work. But if anyone is joining us for the first time, I'll show you on how to price your artwork in a moment. But we always recommend using an A3 template or an A3 layout to get the best price for your business, because this way you can get as many transfers as you want on here. So I've created a decent size for the 2024 template to start off with. And this is where you can start to manipulate it and make the transfer gang sheets work for you. So you've got the option here, you can either keep it as it is and add some school logos, some bits and pieces for the front, maybe some initials that we've done before, make it yours. Or if you want to put two up, there's another option as well. So we could just copy paste that, place it below, and you just need to make them a little bit smaller. Turn them into two A4s. And they're still really big at that size as well. So I just missed a step, so excuse me. So before you do that point, so once you're happy with your artwork, we want to take this text here and then we want to excuse me, we want to make sure that we're, why is it not doing it? I'm going to create the outlines on it, so we want to make sure we're vectoring this artwork. So create the art, we outline that work, so that way when we're trying to change the sizing of it, now you'll see it grows and shrinks with the artwork. So before you start to manipulate a bit more, just make sure that you are getting the artwork to size. So let's get two of these together because we're going to make a gang sheet. And then that way we can make them equally the same size, fill up that transfer sheet. And then you've still got a little bit of room down the side to perhaps put some school badges as well. So if you're doing, say, the left chest on the front, or you just got another piece of work going together at the same time, join them together, and that way you can get started that way and start to really see those profit margins as well, which I'm going to explain for you in just a moment. And then at this point you can choose to make a multicolour, single colour, depending on what works for you. Obviously, if you joined me before Christmas, I went through when is the most appropriate time to use screen printed transfers. And for levers, hoodies, anything levers related, it's still very much single colour is still the most popular. And in that case, I always recommend if it's a single colour job, go for a single colour transfer. You don't need our ultra colour or ultra colour max direct to film at that point. You can still get the best prices from using one colour of ink. And I will show you how to get those best prices in just a moment as well. So again, really, really easy. And all you need to do is save that work and it's done. Once you've saved your artwork and you're like, okay, well, what is the price going to be? How do I get the best price for my job? Okay, so just a quick question from Marco before I move on to the next stage. I've joined late. I don't know if you're just, do I need Adobe Illustrator in order to do this process? You do need a designer that can read EPS files. So the most important thing with a template like this, so let me just go back a few steps for you, Marco. We get this question a lot, so it's a good question. So basically, what you need to do, you need to be able to open this file. It's an EPS file, so that's important for your designer. The reason we've created it as an EPS is because that is the most common design file type across different design platforms. But where people get stuck switching between Adobe or another, and we really don't mind which one you use. We've made our online designer work for both. But what is really important is you need to be able to select the text when you open it up. So let me just go back a few steps. What I mean is you need to be able to highlight the text. So I know that I'm obviously doing it in Adobe, but people, when they've who use CorelDRAW, the most common question is, it's not working for me, and it's normally, can I select the text? So the template is free, so don't go off and buy Illustrator if you don't need it. The template is available on our website, so I'll just go back to that in case you missed it. So you go to custom.styles.co.uk, you click on more, and then you go down to levers, and then you just very quickly fill this form in, and then we'll send you a free template. It's as easy as that. So then you can follow the steps. So this video will be available on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn indefinitely, so you can go back and watch the formula that I walked through as well, and then it'll be really easy for you to follow these steps. So that's pretty simple. Then the next step is obviously, how do I get this artwork? So in this instance, I'll just walk you through very quickly how the best way to choose the artwork, the correct transfer type. We can turn around everything quickly. If it's a single color levers, go for what we call screen printed transfers for designs with 1 to 5 colors. If it's a larger run and it's multicolor, do ultra color. If you've got some last minute ones, and so we're talking May, June, and someone who didn't order one just suddenly decides they do want one, use ultra color max for small runs of up to say 10, 25, something like that. But for those bigger runs, 100, 150, 200, we always recommend using either screen printed transfers or ultra color. So I'm just going to pick screen printed transfers for now. Then once you pick this, you're greeted with the different layouts. I've created the layout in A3. They tend to be bigger prints, but you're only ever going to use A4 or A3 for these 24 prints, regardless of whether it's for levers, summer trips, ski trips, or even if you're doing some of that work for people doing sports trips, like I mentioned before, say the Olympics or the European Football Championships, anything where there's a 24 with names on the back, it's always going to be a bigger print, so A4 or A3. Let's go with A3 for now. So then all you need to do at that point is you are then asked to add your design. So I'm just going to add a design. So let me upload my image. Only takes a sec. Oops, excuse me, let me just log in. And then I'll go here and find my previously uploaded design for the 2024 template. Let me add that in. Just select OK. So it's going to ask you for a color at this point. You can change this later, and this is where you can change. Oh, maybe I want a yellow, I want a blue or a green. That way you can just like, yep, I'm just going to select one, or even if you want a fluorescent, got all our different options available for you there as well. So just click yellow, for instance, click OK, or maybe you want a blue, for instance. Very easy, just click the color you want, and here it's going to tell you exactly what the cost is going to be. So this is for a minimum of 10. Like I said, most runs you're looking at 100 to 150, so I'm just going to change the number here from 100 to 100, and you can see, just see that again, it's gone from 10 at £6.36 a sheet. If I change it to 100, it goes down to £1.97 per transfer already. So super quick, it goes from 636 to 197. So it's a massive reduction once you get into those bigger numbers. And that's why we always recommend for single color work, if you're doing more than 25, to pick screen printed transfers, because you will get the best price for your business that way. Now, if you really want to maximize this transfer sheet to get the best price for you, this is where you start to add more and more transfers. So at this point, you can either add in a different job. So let's say doing a completely different job. It could be for something unrelated. It wouldn't matter. So let me just see what I've got in my library. So I'm just going to find another single color job. So I'm just going to add in this design. And I'll just make it small just for an illustrated point. And just make it really tiny. So this could be completely unrelated, but again, you've got 2 transfers, or you keep adding more in. And if you keep it the same color, it'll be really cheap. So stick to £1.97, and then you can just, if you want to do a couple of those, you can just do copy, and you can just paste. And that way you can have a few different on there. So now we're starting to divide the cost of the transfer sheet. So not only has it got cheaper because it's £1.97 instead of £6.36, but you're actually dividing the cost of the transfer by adding more work on that. So that could be by adding extra logos, or this is a point where you could say, actually, I'm just need to do the levers ones at this point. I've got a class of a couple of hundred. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the size of this so I can get a couple on there. Maybe make it an A4. And then put them one underneath the other like that. And I could still put more work on there. But let's just talk about the levers at the moment. So if I was to put 2 on, so I've got a school of 200. So I put 2 transfers on a sheet and I only need to order 100. That means my actual price per transfer is going to be 99p. So you've got a 99p decoration going onto a hoodie at this point. So that's when I'm talking about why it's such a great opportunity. If you've got lots and lots of schools in, so there's 1.5 million people leaving just primary and secondary. And if you imagine that all the other uses of this design, it could be applied to even to just schools, but lots and lots of other industries. Even if it's just like an away day at work and they want to put everyone, you want to put everyone's names in, it's an extra way of adding another transfer and additional costs, but it looks great. So you're looking at 99p's worth of material decoration here. Now this morning I went and had a look at the pricing for hoodies just to see what the current pricing was. And if you go on to Rallowise and if you're ordering kids, you're looking at £6.99 a hoodie. And if you're ordering adults, it's between £8.45 and £10. So let's say your all-in cost here, if you're doing an average size school, which this is based on us being the leading supplier of levers transfers in the UK. I went and had a look through the average order sizes to give you a very accurate price today. And we're looking at around 150 is the average. So at this point, if you get the price down to 99p by having 2 levers transfers on here and putting other work on at the same time, you're looking at an overall cost for hoodie and transfers of £9.98 here. And if you imagine that you're going to be then selling these for between 22 and 25 across 150 students, and you might have 10, 20 or more jobs that come in, if you're making £10, £12 profit on each one of them, that's really quite a great revenue stream to have in. And that's why all levers are interested in printing this, or should be interested in printing these sorts of designs. And Molly has very kindly put a link to the podcast where we did discuss how to approach sales and marketing for these jobs. So if you're on YouTube or Facebook, you can see that link in the comments. If not, just go to our podcast and you can listen to it or watch it there. So that is exactly how you artwork levers, how you get the best price for levers. So of course, now I'm sure you want to know, how do I apply levers? What is the best method for that? So I'm going to switch cameras now. I'm going to go over to our other filming area. I'm going to show you exactly how to fuse this work. Okay, so So you'll be able to see me now. Excellent. So you've followed my artworking steps, and that will leave you, especially if you've gone single colour, 2 days later, the fastest turnaround in the UK, you'll get your levers designs back to you. So you can just about see that. Because we've got some white ink today, because we've gone for a classic. It's first live of the year. So we're going to go with classic. Often white, red and black tend to be the primary levers designs. So that's why we've gone for that, just to give you a bit of a classic look. But you could use this design for any single colour. All of our screen printed transfers are Pantone matched. So schools can be very specific sometimes. So in that case, if they say it has to be this colour and they might give you a Pantone rather than a hex or something like that, you can come to us and say, actually, I really need this very specific ink colour. Can you find it for me? And we can mix it for you and get you that job secured. And so it's really, really easy. 2-day turnaround, one colour transfers. So order one colour, order one colour transfers. All you need to do at that point then is grab a hoodie. So I have one from Orders here. This is the JH030. So it's either going to be a sweat like this or a hoodie, but the same principles apply for both. So it's really, really easy to apply a levers print. All you need to do is get a good quality heat press. So I have the Hotronix Fusion here. I really like this for screen printed designs or when I'm doing something with a bit more detail, because I have this heat-free workspace, which makes my life very easy. You can have this as a swing as well, but because of the space for the live set, I've not got that turned on today. But the great thing is, when you turn this on, you've got a library of products. So I've ordered 1 to 5 colour transfers. I'll just go and pick 1 to 5 colour transfers. Really, really simple. For screen printed transfers like this, you're going to be looking at a fuse temperature of 160 degrees and a press time of 10 seconds. So again, as well as being really easy to artwork now, really easy to order, it's really quick and efficient to actually apply this work to. So for levers, hoodie or sweat, just thread it on here. And if you're using a kid's one, for instance, you can change the platen sizes on this. So if you want to make sure those seams are out of the way, it's very easy for you to isolate those areas. And we've got some really great videos on how to make the best use of accessories if you've got a smaller print or you've got a smaller hoodie or jumper that won't quite fit on a 40 by 50 centimetre platen. It's really easy to work your way around those. So I've got my sweat centered on here. First step is to pre-press. This is really important. So make sure you give it 3 to 5 seconds, just like that. It's a little bit overpressured, so I'm just going to wind that down a little bit. And it's really important you pre-press on every single transfer job, because you want to make sure you're getting the moisture out of the garment. You want to make sure you get a nice flat surface. And when we're going to be putting this kind of detail as a transfer on, that's even more important, because you want to make sure that the conditions are optimal for this transfer application. So really, really important that you follow the pre-press step, and especially because you know it's going to likely end up on a child who's going to want to wear this hoodie maybe even once, twice, 3 times a week. Especially when they first get it, they're going to wear and wear and wear it. It's going to have a hard life. So make sure you follow the correct instructions for fusing, so that way it will stay on their wash after wash. We give you a wash quality promise that this is going to outlast the garment. So it's really important you follow these steps to get that promise to your customer. And a product like this is going to last and last and last as well. So the transfer and this sweatshirt are going to last. We give you a promise of 75 plus washes, but honestly, that'll go way further than that, because it's a good quality transfer, good quality heat press and good quality garment. This is going to last and last and last. This will be like, you'll be giving them 26, 27 prints and they'll still have this in great condition. But you must follow the recipe. So pre-press, 3 to 5 seconds. Then I'm going to place my transfer. Because this is a screen one, we're going to put ink side down. So let me just place that on there. I'm going to get a cover sheet on it for this one. So just a release paper. You can get this on the website. It's $11.99 for 50 sheets, and these will last a long time anyway. But this is really important because this is a cold peel transfer. I don't want the press to lift up the design at all. And again, because of that detail, I want to really make sure I'm going to let this go cold so I can get a great fuse. Back under the press, 10 seconds, medium pressure, so we're looking between a 4 and a 6 on your heat press. And if you have any questions about heat press, again, leave them in the comments. Or even any questions about anything unrelated to levers designs, leave those questions as well. So this is going to be warm. So I'm just going to put this down on my equipment cart, which I have in front of me sort of camera, but it's nice and cold. And to answer Darren's question in the comments, it's not quite as cold as it is for you, Darren, but I wouldn't exactly say it's summer weather here either. But it's quite nice being next to a heat press on a day like today. So actually, if using 160 degrees transfers in the winter, it's a little bit of a life hack maybe. Go for our ultra color, low fusing, low temperature products in the summer, and our screen printed ones in the winter perhaps. So if anyone has got any questions, I'd love to know if anyone has already started doing levers work if you're watching, or if you're thinking about it, or if you haven't done it, what stopped you from doing it before? Let me answer those questions for you, give you some ideas of how to get started, because it's really, really easy once you get going. And it's the same time every year, so as I was saying earlier, it's consistent, it's the same time each year, but you really, really need to get stuck into it already. So I know that the actual garment might not be in the students' hands until, say, June, depending on when the school hands them out. Most schools finish around the third week of July in the UK. It could be different in different countries depending on where you're watching. But it's really important you get the work, you get that order secured now. So you could start getting prepared and you could start getting that work done already. And then you can just add in a few extra kids if someone joins later in the year, or someone decides didn't order one, decides they did want one, so order a couple of extras, and that way you'll be fine. So my transfer's gone cold now. So I'm just going to pull this back out. I wouldn't normally recommend fusing a cold peel transfer on a warm heat press, but you'll be able to see what I'm doing better that way. Grab it, one corner, just peel straight across. Let me show you. That has gone on there, and that detail is incredible. Can't quite see because of the light. Let me see if I can.
You go back a bit, it should.
You can see that tiny text. It stayed on there. None of it is lifting. It's on there perfectly. This couldn't feel nicer for the student as well. So something that's always important to bear in mind is the feel of these transfers is second to none. So when someone is wearing it wash after wash, it's going to feel really comfortable and really light for them. I feel like we had a question coming in.
We do. So Marco has followed up with, this would be my first job ever as I'm only starting. Any advice you can give me in terms of how to address people at schools, as they may already have somebody that provides them with levers? Thank you.
Yeah, great question, Marco. And as I mentioned earlier, I think we went for about 45 minutes just talking on this topic on a podcast just before Christmas, which we've linked in the comments. So depending if you're on YouTube or Facebook, it will be in the comments for you. So I would encourage you to go back and listen to that first, because we kind of went through every single stage of how we would approach it if we were in your shoes. So put ourselves in your shoes as a decorator, and we did this as either an established or a first-time printer like yourself. Just follow the steps, because the great thing about the levers work is it's not necessarily something that has been agreed upon already. Some of the stuff like uniforms, maybe blazers if they're still wearing them, that is stuff that tends to be a bit more contractual. But actually the lever stuff just tends to be like, oh, you know someone who's heat print, or your mum or your dad, they do garment decorating, think they could do this. So that's one way it tends to come around. The other way is to be proactive about it. Get a sample done and get in front of people. Try and find the right people. If you have connections at schools, either your own children, you have nieces, nephews, friends' children, or it's just start to put yourself out there is a really great way to do it. But start local. So much of this lever stuff can be done locally and then grow out from that area. So my advice would be to listen to that podcast, because we spoke a lot about how we would approach it, and we went into so much more detail. And then if you've still got questions, don't be a stranger. It's great to hear that you're on your first steps of your journey. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to help you. So you can always send us a direct message on any of our social platforms, or if you really want a bit more in-depth advice, give us a call. Our customer service team is always happy to help all of our customers, whether they're small or large. So we really want to help. So do get in touch and ask us lots of questions. If you follow that advice and you're still having problems, get in touch. Say, this didn't work, this did work. Any advice at this point? But you have the template. You can borrow some of the designs from that website, just copy and paste it onto your own stuff, and just get a couple of samples done. We do a minimum order of 1 on our Ultra Color Max, which you could easily fuse. Take that in front of people, put it in front of people. Once they see this detail, they see how soft this feels, and they see how punchy those colors are. So I've just done this white on grey. This has no right to look this bold and bright like that. I'll do it on a purple one. This is our digital lavender. I'm sure that someone from Hoodies is probably watching, so I want to make sure I get it right. So let's do one in here as well. Give it a quick fuse. So again, Marco, just to reiterate, make sure you pre-press this garment because of that detail. I really want to make sure that tiny little text holds that detail. That's why it's really important. Pre-press and you get your pressure right. So we're at 4 at the moment. You can go a little bit higher, and then you've got a nice warm surface. Get one of the designs. Actually, we could use one of our other designs. So we do have some full color designs done. So I just want to show you some of these with you as well. So these are ultra color. This is where we've ganged the job up for a ski trip, which again is something that's coming up very quickly. So if you already have the levers work, if you're in discussions about the levers work, don't forget to ask for what else you could help. Don't just think levers, think what else can I help? What else is available for me to help you with? Ski trips, summer trips, many things like this are all available. They're all in play for you as a garment decorator. They tend to go hand in hand. So make sure you ask for everything that's available, because then you could put special badges for everything. People love special occasion shirts, so this is a great way of utilizing that. And in this case, we've done a full color, but you can still see, you can still get that amazing detail and an amazing color. So I think let's cut that one out. Let's apply it. You can see really easy. Just going to pop this on the back here. This is an Ultra Color Max, so this can actually be peeled straight away. And I would fuse this at a lower temperature if you have the opportunity. But I know that none of you want to wait for the heat press to cool down, so I'm just going to fuse it anyway for 12 seconds. I'm just going to add a couple of seconds on here, then I'll peel it. And then you can see, again, the colours look really bright and bold. So again, hot peeled, grab it from corner to corner and just peel away. I think you can see already, even from this camera angle, just how good and bold those colours are. Again, super soft, really easy to apply on these tops. So let me give you a bit of a close-up so you can see. And there, again, that tiny detail, just captured all of it. That's how easy it is to apply transfers, Marco. So if you're just getting started and you're a bit unsure, or you know approaching the first job, even the tiniest details can hold it with a transfer. And again, you can put nice bold prints on here, either as digital lavender, which again is continuing to be very popular again this year, and something that we talked about a lot on the Heat Press podcast about levers was actually giving some alternate options here. So obviously white, red and black will always be popular, but I would perhaps make the argument that maybe a little bit boring and perhaps time for something else. So that's why I say go in with some of the popular colour types. So if you're unsure on these, do speak to people like Hoodies, ask them what's popular, ask them what's trending, and actually take some different options in. Say, or pick a school colour and say, actually, rather than just white, would you like digital lavender or whatever the colour may be of the school? And that way you can give them something a bit different, which will make you stand out amongst your competition.
That transfer does look really good, actually. We have two questions. We have
Okay.
a follow-up from Marco and we have one from Simon. So Simon says, newbie question, do you advise no tumble drying on these prints?
Yeah, so we tend to recommend wash inside out, don't tend to tumble dry. They can take a bit of tumble drying, but we don't always recommend it, which is true of most garment decoration techniques, to be honest. I should note as well that when we do the wash test and wash promise, we wash all of that at 30 degrees rather than doing a cold wash. So this is very much, we're washing it in conditions that will be replicated by the actual end wearer. So that's why we can get wash after wash after wash. But yeah, iron inside out and then just wash it at 30 degrees.
Cool. And then Marco's follow-up is also, I do not have a caddy to put my heat press on. Would I need a pillow or foam pad to fuse the garments?
It depends on the size of the garment and the size of your heat press. So this one is a large, so it fits on the 40 by 50 centimeter very easily, as would anything bigger or a medium. If I was doing a smaller print, then I would change the platen size. Obviously, I realise that when you're first starting out, it's not as easy just to buy lots and lots of extra platens. If you can, I would get one that would do lots of different options. So something like 28 by 38 or 20 by 25, you might be able to do anything from the kids' ages up to, say, small and maybe even medium with the heat press. But it's not essential. You could use a pillow instead to isolate the areas, but it's important that you are isolating those areas one way or another. The platens are easier, but it's obviously slightly more expensive. You're looking at sort of between 150 and 200 pounds for an additional platen, whereas pillows are sort of more like the 40 to 50 pounds, or if you buy a set, they're about 75. So choose an option that is best for your budget when you're first starting out, and work towards a platen if a pillow is a better option for now. But do isolate those areas, because you don't want to be, when you get to the smaller sizes, you don't want those seams, those thicker areas, to be the part where the pressure is being regulated. If you're using an accurate machine like a Hotronics, so this has over-center pressure, so when it comes down perfectly, but it will regulate at the point of all pressure in there. So a pillow will help push that area up, so that the sort of application area is the uppermost point of the print.
We have two follow-up questions on
Okay.
Instagram, actually. Three Oaks would like to know what's the average size of a lever's print for primary and secondary school.
Mm-hmm. It tends to be around, these A4 tends to be quite popular or slightly bigger. So for primary, A4 is going to be fine. For secondary, it's kind of a borderline one. So that's why it's really important to have that conversation with the schools, find out the sizings of the hoodies they're expecting to have, to help make you an informed decision. So this one, for instance, is based on an A4 size, and you can still see it's still pretty big, but sometimes they will ask for a big, bold print. They want to cover as much area as possible. At secondary school, you've got obviously people who've had growth spurts and people who are a bit shorter, so you kind of have to find a happier medium. And that's why I would say that there's no set rule. Smaller ones, you could put two levers up, one next to each other. But for, say, secondary school, you might want to actually combine completely different jobs together. So you can get away with a slightly bigger 24 print. And because of the two now, before when it was just a one and a number, it was much narrower. So you could actually get away with just flipping it on its side and doing one next to each other. But the two is that little bit bigger. And with the four, so it means that actually it's a bit wider. So that's why sometimes it's better to go for an A3 layout and put other work underneath it. So you get the bigger print, so it looks good on the hoodie, the customer's happy, but you're also going to still get the cost savings of the gang sheet by putting something completely unrelated next to it.
Well, the questions are flowing in at this
go
point
for
now.
it.
We have another one. Can you get a matte finish?
This is a matte finish, so I'm not sure if it perhaps not showing up quite on the camera, but our transfers all tend to have a bit of a matte finish to them. We think that is the best looking way to have a transfer. So again, get a sample done, but these all have a matte, maybe I'll get it on sideways, it'll be better for you to see. These all have a matte finish to it because we believe that is the most attractive way of creating a transfer for you.
Final question at the moment. When
Okay.
you say that the transfers can last up to 75 washes, does that include industrial washes?
So I guess it depends what you mean by industrial. Our wash testing is done in an industrial wash test machine. So we're not just getting a normal washing machine at home and do 75 washes. We do that because we want to see what it looks like, but we actually have an industrial wash test machine that does all of these numbers for us. So that's why it's really important for us that we don't give you a product that hasn't been industrial wash tested. That is something that's always a bit of a red flag. So when you're buying transfers from someone, if they can't promise you an industrial wash test, then I would always be a bit cautious. But we wash test everything before it's released, and we actually do spot checks every single week on our transfers just to make sure that they are working perfectly, as they always are.
And also that goes without saying that you have to apply them correctly in order for the wash test to be in play
Yeah.
with time, temperature, pressure. That's it for questions for now.
Okay, so in that case then, I'm not sure what time it is.
It's 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, so probably a lot of you will probably be either going for your lunch or back to work, depending on where you are. But just remember this, these instructions will be available for you indefinitely. So go back, watch it again, get in touch if you have questions. Sounds like a lot of you might find it useful to listen to that podcast we did just before Christmas, talking about sales and marketing side of Levers Hoodies. And don't forget, you can obviously do Levers stuff, which is really great business, but don't forget to ask for the other work like ski trips or summer activities, but you need to be asking those questions. Now, don't wait for the schools to finish or a week before they finish. You have to have that conversation in January to secure that work. Okay, in that case, I thank you all for joining me. We'll be back next Friday with a Graph Tech.
Correct. We're doing how to cut multiple different heat transfer vinyls on the world's leading vinyl cutter.
Okay, so if you have questions about vinyl cutting, then do join us because we will be answering all of those questions and helping you start the new year with some great education. I've seen a preview of this event that we're going to be doing, so I'd encourage you all to join for that. There's going to be lots and lots of great information there. So we will see you next week. Don't forget to listen to that podcast, subscribe to the podcast. We have lots of great content going out on YouTube and on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn. So follow us where you like to get your content, and we'll see you there.